Well, what a season for the Bills. I went on a rant about it before, um, around the time of the Patriots game and after the Patriots game. And, the Bills had an insane offensive performance against the Patriots. No way they were going to be able to carry that on into the next round against the Chiefs, right? It's just unfathomable. And they didn't. They did not, fail to punt in the divisional round game against the Chiefs. However, they did have an absolute offensive showing that was fantastic. And they did lose 42-36 in overtime in what was probably the best playoff game that I've seen, honestly, since maybe Super Bowl with the Chiefs, or not with the Chiefs. Super Bowl with the Eagles and Patriots is really good. Another one that comes to mind is the first Mahomes versus Brady 2018 AFC Championship game. But obviously this one is going to be the best because it has my favorite team in it. Obviously, the Bills didn't come in with the win, but Josh Allen played his ass off. He had the best game of his career. All things considered, when the chips were on the table, he threw for 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. He's the leading rusher, over 300 yards. But I mean, when it comes down to 42-36, a lot of Bills fans are blaming the defense. A lot of Bills fans are looking to, the choice not to squib kick it at the very end there. 13 seconds, the defensive play calling for those 2 fateful plays that got them into field goal range. And, you can go back. That's the thing with these one-score games. You can go back and kind of pinpoint, there was some 4th and shorts where the Bills decided to punt. You can do all this and that and revisionist, hindsight 2020, try and change things up. But, honestly, what it comes down to is the best players on these respective teams, aside from Stephon Diggs, to be honest, they really showed out and they really performed at their best. And that's what the playoffs is all about, is, being able to step up. And when your team needs it the most, when the best players from the best teams need it the most, nut up or shut up. Some games, some of the best players on the best teams in the regular season just don't show up. Cardinals, straight up. But sometimes they do. And like I said, aside from Stephon Diggs, who had a really quiet game, 3 catches for 7 yards, didn't have that many targets though. He only had 6 targets, which was what, 4th, 3rd on the team. You want to talk about the offensive performances, man. That's what it comes down to. Right, you can look at bad defense on both sides, and anytime a team scores at least 30 points, yeah, it's not a good defensive performance. And there were no turnovers at all between 2 teams, which is crazy. There were a couple fumbles, but none of them were lost. And I think, like I said, the 2 quarterbacks combined for an average of a 93 QBR, which is just nuts. Patrick Mahomes had a 96. Josh Allen had a 90. Mahomes had 70 yards rushing, 370 yards, a touchdown on the ground, 3 touchdowns through the air. He was fantastic. Josh Allen, 4 rushing touchdowns, or 4 passing touchdowns, 330 yards passing, 70 yards rushing. They both balled out. And, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's a Packers fan, and I was like, I don't know how you can walk away from this game and say that there are better quarterbacks in the NFL than these 2 guys that played each other tonight. His argument was Aaron Rodgers, and I don't know. Aaron Rodgers definitely had a good season, and I'll be interested to see if he does end up walking away with the MVP award. But maybe recency bias, but I don't know how you can say. Who's your argument? Justin Herbert? No. Tom Brady? No. These are the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL, And for all intents and purposes, this is the AFC Championship game. Before the game, I said whoever wins this game will make it to the Super Bowl. Cincinnati, I'm sorry, I know they beat the Chiefs in the regular season. So did the Bills. It does not matter. It does not matter. These games are different. And I can't imagine any other quarterback aside from maybe Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady in the NFL that in the situations that Josh Allen was put in would end up coming through the way he did. Straight up, like I just don't, I just can't see it. You know, that's why I think these are the two best quarterbacks in the NFL. Straight up. I think the Chiefs are going to romp the Bengals next week. Shout out to the Bengals for making it. I just don't think they're ready yet. You know, and it's going to be a ruckus atmosphere, and you know, I just cannot believe the game that was had today or yesterday, because it's the day after. You know, it's really, really, you know, I don't know how to feel completely about it, because part of me is very, very, you know, disappointed that, you know, the Bills, this was their year, right? The defense was fantastic all season long, and Josh Allen really heated up there towards the end. I mean, this guy threw 9 touchdowns to 0 interceptions in 2 games, and he's going home. I mean, against 2 premier teams, against the Patriots, who have one of the best defenses in the NFL, and against the Chiefs, who are, you know, going to their 4th consecutive AFC Championship game. Yeah, they're carried by their offense, but still, I mean, you've got to have at least a good defense or a decent team overall to be able to go back that many times. And, you know, this guy, you want to talk about franchise quarterback moments. So I classify a franchise quarterback moment as anytime there is a sense of urgency where the ball needs to be thrown to move the ball down the field to score. The defense knows you're going to throw the ball, and like time is of the essence, right? Usually, like, you know, you can have them before the half. Like, let's say, you know, it's 1st and 10 from the 30 and there's 50 seconds left and 1 timeout. If you can go down the field, get you some points, that's a franchise quarterback moment. Those are moments in which you really got to show up, you know? And the biggest ones are at the end of the game, right? Where it's 30-27, you're getting the ball back at the 25, and there's a minute left and you got 1 timeout. Go down the field, get a field goal or get a go-ahead touchdown, right? That is your franchise quarterback moment, you know? And you have them throughout the regular season all the time, you know, against the Jags, or you have them against, you know, I don't know, the Steelers. But to have them in the playoffs, right? Time after time. I mean, I want to say he did 2 times. No, you know, he might have done it 3 times. No, he did 2 times. 2 franchise quarterback moments on the brightest stage against the best team. Remarkable stuff. I mean, you know, he got them down, what was it, 21-26. He got the ball back with, 2 minutes, or no, not 2 minutes left. He got the ball back with about 5 minutes left, but he milked the clock down to the 2-minute warning on 4th and long. I mean, it's 4th and long. You're down by 5. There are 2 minutes left. You have all your timeouts, but still, if you don't get this, a 1 first down and the game's over. And he fires a strike, gets the touchdown. Patrick Mahomes, who is, you know, at this point, it's a vintage Patrick Mahomes moment, right? Especially in the playoffs. He goes down the field, franchise quarterback moment, a walk in the park. He gets a touchdown, not even a field goal. And so the Bills have a minute, right, with 2 timeouts to once again not have to kick a field goal, but they got to get a touchdown. And shout out to Patrick Mahomes, because he only needed a field goal and he got them a touchdown. And, you know, Josh marches them down the field. And I mean, it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. You scored with 13 seconds left, you know, and to be fair, they only did need a field goal. So it made the likelihood of them actually going down the field not nearly as impossible. It was improbable, but not impossible. You know, and with the way Harrison Butker had been kicking, I was like, this game's over. Like, you know, I couldn't believe it. And, you know, that was elite quarterback play. I'm talking like Tom Brady. Yeah, he could probably do that. Aaron Rodgers, though, I don't know. Because, I mean, Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs has struggled in those big moments. You know, and you could say, oh, he would have got him up, you know, 20 touchdowns. It wouldn't even have mattered. But, yeah, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? When the nut crunching time comes, when all the chips are pushed in the middle of the table and you can get it done, I mean, you're a rock star. And, you know, obviously 13 seconds left. The Chiefs get 2 plays into field goal range, 49-yard kick, sends it to overtime. whoever wins the coin toss, they're going to go down and score. At least that's what we think. And ultimately the Chiefs get it, and it, basically they move the ball the same way they did last year's AFC Championship game, and just went right down the field and scored a touchdown and ended the game. Now, here's my thing, right? You want to talk about big players coming up in big moments. Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the NFL. Probably the greatest tight end ever. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. One of them, at least. Back-to-back Super Bowl appearances, 4 straight conference championships, Super Bowl MVP. He is. I'm sorry, I'm taking Mahomes at this point over Brady. Tyreek Hill, definitely the most dangerous ball carrier in the NFL. One of the best overall receivers in totality, right? So you have those big 3. And if you really want to look at things down the stretch, those are the 3 reasons you lost this game. Because Patrick Mahomes, throughout the entire game, was doing a fantastic job of maneuvering in the pocket, breaking out of feeble sack attempts, but nonetheless keeping the plays alive. He was running it. He was throwing it. I mean, he played so well. I mean, like I said, these will probably go down as the 2 best quarterback performances of the whole playoffs. Maybe with the exception of last week with what Josh did to the Patriots. But he made some great throws. Tyreek Hill made some great plays. Travis Kelce made some great plays. And, that's what comes down to when, Bills fans go to blame the defense. Your defense is never going to be perfect. And the reason you can get mad at the defense is if, they gave it to Byron Pringle, or they let, Jerick McKinnon get the game-winning touchdown, or, bust open and really break the game open. I mean, it is what it is. You put your best on my best, and there's a reason why your best is the best. Because Tyreek Hill had that 64-yard go-ahead touchdown. Obviously, we responded, but still, and that's just what he does. And Travis Kelce had the game-winning touchdown catch. That's just what he does. I mean, it was a great play, great coverage, nothing you can do about it. And, Tyreek Hill had the 20-yard catch to start off that 13-second drive. And then Travis Kelce had another one right after that. And, those plays were made by the big 3, the 3 best at their positions, or 3 of the best at their positions. And you just got to tip your cap. I mean, like I said, it's not like you gave it up to Baker Mayfield or just an average quarterback like Carson Wentz or something like that. Then you can get mad. Like, you're going to let that guy beat you. But, I mean, these guys are 3 of the most top paid at their position. 3 guys who could be future Hall of Famers. I don't know about Tyreek Hill, but Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes certainly. So, and they just did it. They just did it to him. Looking back in the annals of history, I mean, are people really saying, oh, the Bengals defense is so trash and they're the reason why Joe Montana went down the field in those 2 Super Bowls? No, they talk about how Joe Montana is so great, and he went down the field and scored those 2 touchdowns to win both of those Super Bowls. So I think that's kind of what it comes down to. Should you have squibbed it? I don't think it would have mattered because you're probably going to take maybe 3 or 4 seconds off the clock, and they're probably going to get the ball around the same spot that they ended up getting it after the first play anyway. So because it was 7 seconds at the 41 after the Tyreek Hill play, and you're probably looking at 8 seconds, 9 seconds at the 35 or the 40. I mean, come on, you're comparing apples to oranges. It's bullshit. But it's just Bills fans trying to grasp for something to justify this game, and it's because they love Josh Allen and they want to try and find a way to be like, no, this didn't happen, and I'm with them on that. But logically, I mean, what happened, and there's a reason why this team is going to be going to the AFC Championship for the 4th year in a fucking row. Shout out Patrick Mahomes. He is one of the greatest that we've seen. Definitely the greatest of this recent generation. The quarterback generation coming after Breeze and Brady and Rodgers and Manning and all that. So absolutely insane. But the thing that really bothers me, Josh Allen had a great game, and I think people are going to remember that and know of how great of a quarterback he really is. And like I said, I think he cemented his place. If you want to put Aaron Rodgers in the top 3, okay, but I'm sorry, give me Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Those are my 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Recency bias, whatever, I don't care. I just think it's fact. And this game proved it. I mean, on the road, against Patrick Mahomes, two amazing franchise quarterback moments, and ultimately, the offense was not able to come back on the field. And maybe against the Bucks, they got the ball in overtime and they went 3-and-out. Would that have happened? I don't know. It was kind of the same kind of energy, wasn't it? Like the Bills were unstoppable up until the point, like momentum wise, and then obviously they got stymied against the Bucks and lost in overtime. But I just think it's unfair to put it at the feet of the defense. I know they didn't do a great job of getting stops, and they gave up 200 yards rushing and 370 passing. I mean, the Chiefs had 550 yards of total offense. I mean, they were unstoppable. The Bills only had about a little over 400. But the thing that really pisses me off is Gabriel Davis had probably the greatest receiving game in NFL playoff history. One of the greatest games of all time. 8 catches for 201 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, on 10 targets, this guy, I mean, that would have gone down as probably the greatest playoff receiving game had they won. And I mean, especially considering he caught both of the crunch time go-ahead touchdowns. Shout out Gabe Davis. I don't know if he's a beast, but he really showed up, and he has showed up in these playoff games. I remember him having a fantastic game against the Colts last year. And he caught a touchdown last week against the Patriots. And, obviously the game he had today was just absolutely absurd. And it's devastating that, Bills fans and probably I think it'll be remembered because it's the most touchdowns ever caught in a postseason game. But I mean, could you imagine like this? You're gonna look back on this and be like, had they won, and be like, wow, like bring that jersey to Canton, But no, people are gonna remember 13 seconds just like they remember Browns fans remember the drive. Although I will say, it's gonna sting a lot harder and be more potent if they don't manage to, repeat similar success, as in come back next season, make it to the divisional or make it to the conference championship or make it to the Super Bowl. And, a lot of Bills fans are kind of forlorn and saying, oh, well, I mean, with the performance that Josh had, if you can't make it this year, you're never going to make it. And I'm not trying to get on that. Like, that's kind of a depressing and dark look at things. And I mean, really, that shows the attitude of, well, I did well and I didn't make it, so I'm not going to try anymore. Like, that's such bullshit. I think what this game showed you is that you have an elite quarterback in Josh Allen. You have a quarterback that, other than Patrick Mahomes, there's no other quarterback in the NFL right now that would be able to do what he was able to do, running it and throwing it. And I've always thought this, throughout this season, once they really started struggling, they were like 7-6. As long as you get in the playoffs with this guy, even if you go 10-7 and don't even win your division, as long as you get in the dance, you are going to be dangerous. Because honestly, I thought the Chargers probably would have beat Cincinnati if they got in instead of the Raiders, straight up. And there were some teams like the Colts that, had they just gotten in, they probably could have made some noise, but they didn't. And so I'm not really concerned about that. Obviously, it was a great season, especially a great playoff run. Statistically, especially by the offense and Josh Allen. But I think that they'll be fine. I think they'll be ready to go next year. It does worry me when it comes to time of the essence, because there are some plays throughout that game and just in general with Josh where you're like, man, that's not sustainable. Like it's like some Cam Newton with a little bit more finesse, where I mean he's trucking guys, and I mean the quarterback sweeps that they run are like damn near unstoppable. They got a little predictable later on in the game, because they would try and run them on like 3rd and short and 2nd and short, and Chiefs kind of got a little bit better at stopping it. But I mean, there are some times where he scrambles out and he reaches across and just he's able to get it and just outrun these defensive ends who are containing. Like, they have contained, but they just can't get around the bend to him. So how many more seasons is Josh going to be able to do this with so much high level execution? I don't know. I think that's a legitimate question, and that's worrisome. It really is, because what's to say he's just as good this year doing what he's doing next year or the year after that. But I don't know. I don't think the Bills should hang their head too much because of how they played. And they, like I said, the offense and the quarterback, which is, in my opinion, those are the two most – that's the biggest point of criticism in every game in the NFL at the end of the day when you're looking at it. He was fantastic, And there should be no doubt in anybody's mind that he is not at least a top 5 quarterback. I think a top 2 or 3. But anyway, you lost to the best quarterback, and you gave up crucial plays to one of the best receivers and the best tight end, and best quarterback. I don't think you can be too mad about that. I don't. But looking for the draft, obviously, Bill's biggest need, and throughout this game, you kind of saw it bear out. Pass rush, defensive line, they double dipped in the first and the second round last year. Probably not going to do that again, but they, if there's some sort of pass rusher or some sort of X factor, they need to try and get it, because a big issue this game was, while they didn't get killed by the run game, I mean, they did give up 182 yards of rushing, which is kind of a lot. It is a lot, but they could not get after Patrick Mahomes, and it was a pretty typical Chiefs kind of offensive domination of the Bills. It's just the one caveat was that the Bills' offense was amazing and was able to keep up. But I mean, Kansas City only punted what? I think they only punted they punted twice. So, I mean, yeah. But Mahomes, though, he's a great quarterback. He's a great player. You got to tip your hat. You beat me you played at your best. I played at my best, and you're just better. Maybe if this game was in Buffalo, that could have swung the tides a little bit. I don't know. But I think the Bills will be back next year with Josh Allen. I'll be interested to see the cast of characters they bring back. Shout out Gabe Davis. He had a great stretch towards the end of last season. Even better this season. And I'm really looking forward to what happens. But, guys that we might not see anymore. Mario Addison, Jerry Hughes, Emmanuel Sanders. Y'all were appreciated. And, you guys contributed to, in my opinions, a successful season. Was it a failure? Yes. Yes, it was. Cut and dry. If you told me yesterday, spoiler alert, that the game was going to end in this score, I would find the silver lining, and I think it is important to find the silver lining, but just know that that's a failure. You lost to the one team that's been in your way, the one team that you set out to defeat last year. You lost to them again in the playoffs. Although it is progress. You got absolutely obliterated last year. This year, you should have won that game. But that's just how the cookie crumbles. And I said it many times at this point throughout this little ramble that there's a reason why those 3 guys on that Kansas City offense are paid the way they are, graded the way they are, and have the legacies that they have. Straight up. So, again, I think the Chiefs will represent the NFC the AFC in the Super Bowl. I can't imagine the Bengals. I don't see it with how they've played, and granted, they've won their last 2 games. Kansas City's another breed, and I'm thinking that the Chiefs are going to run away with this thing, this AFC Championship, and if the 49ers take care of business against the Rams like they have done historically the past few years, you're looking at Super Bowl 54, a rematch? I don't know, but I think Patrick Mahomes is going to go to his 3rd straight Super Bowl. And if you lose to the guy who's gone to their 3rd straight Super Bowl, can you really, really be that angry? I don't think so. But hey, next year, just know you have by far the best quarterback in the division and one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And if you can get some running game and you can keep your defense playing well, you'll be fine. It fucking hurts, but go Bills.